With no further notice, now we'll acknowledge the intervention of our distinguished guest, Marcela Villarreal, Director, Office for Partnership, Advocacy, and Capacity Development in the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO. Thank you very much.
Gracias, Cesar. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everybody. I'm really delighted to be here with you this afternoon. I'm going to speak briefly because unfortunately I will have to leave as the program is a little late. But I'd like to just share with you a few thoughts from FAO perspective. Now, I have been in the UN system for 25 years. I started back 25 years ago, of course, in Chile. And I've gone through a number of the different UN organizations, including the ILO, UNFPA, and finally FAO. And for the last 18 years, I've been here in Rome, in FAO headquarters. Now, in these 25 years, I've seen the world change. And thankfully, in many ways, I think the world is a better place. And part of that is thanks to the work of the United Nations. The United Nations brings together a set of very, very motivated individuals like you here in the audience today. And what joins us together as UN staff is we want to dedicate our lives to make this world a better place. So let us see where we are now and see a little bit what has been going on with what we do in FAO, which is basically we're committed to eradicate hunger within our lifetimes. Eradicate hunger, not only diminish it, not only bring it to half like in the MDGs, but eradicate hunger. And that has to be done within our lifetimes, and I should say more my lifetime than yours, because I suppose that yours is going to be much longer than mine. So I want to live to see this world without hunger. And that is what drives me to work every day. Now, what has happened in the last years? I think you have been able to discuss the issues of hunger. I saw the resolution you prepared. Congratulations. It's a wonderful resolution. I really liked it. I really enjoyed reading it. I think you really identified some of the really important points. So where are we now in terms of hunger? I think you all know today there's around 805 million people hungry in the world, more or less. And that, I believe, is the greatest scandal of our lifetimes. Today, enough food is produced for every single one of those human beings, and yet more than 800 million of them go to bed hungry every single day, aren't able to feed their own families, see their children, sometimes through sickness related to lack of food, and sometimes even worse than that. And this happens at a time where there's enough food produced for every one of them. We have the technology, we have the means, we have the know-how, but we're still not getting there. We still have those more than 800 million. Now, of course, the situation is better, has improved vis-a-vis what it was, say, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. We are in a much better situation. Since 1992, where we had more than 1 billion people hungry, today we have around 200 million less people hungry in the world. And of course, that is a good sign. We're going in the right direction. You have analyzed the MDGs in your paper. I saw that. And as you will know, this year, 2015, is the year when the MDGs end. And for MDG 1, there will be, by the time we end the year, 71 countries. 71 countries. That's not a small amount of countries who will have met MDG 1 on hunger. And I think that is a major, major, major way in which the world is a better place since the last 25 years where I have been working in the UN. Now, today we're seeing a number of different issues around hunger. It's not only those chronically undernourished, like the 800 million, it's also the 500 million people who are obese or overweight. 500 million. Can you imagine what, do you have an idea what that is? 500 million? It's about the whole population of all of Europe with all of its 28 countries. That's a huge amount of people who are overweight or obese at a time when we have 800 million who are physically going to bed hungry every night. Now, there's a number of issues that are associated with food problems, with hunger problems, and let me just cite one because I think it's illustrative of what happens when a population has people who are hungry. There are 500,000 people, 500,000 children, sorry, who have become blind because of lack of vitamin A. Vitamin A is something that is easily found in food, and it's cheaply found in food. How is it that the day of today, 500,000 children go blind? Blind, can you imagine what is in front of these children's lifetimes if they're already blind by lack of something which can be easily addressed, like vitamin A? This is an area where we can join our forces and work together. I would really like, not within the end of my lifetime, much before, to know that the number of children who go blind because of lack of vitamin A is 0, and that should be done within the next couple of years, mind you, not within my lifetime. Now, you have been working on the United Nations system, you have been working on the FAO, I see the FAO committee here, and then of course you know that Italy has the Roman pole of the United Nations, which of course as a pole is the second after Geneva. So it's quite important for Italy to have this pole, and it's confirmed by FAO, which is a knowledge organization. So we're the ones who try to help the countries to put in place the policies that they need to address hunger issues. We give technical assistance, we produce standards, food safety standards, for example, to ensure that all the food that we eat will not cause harm. All of those standards, data, statistics, all the agricultural, fisheries, forestry statistics in the world are produced within our United Nations FAO, working together with the member countries. So in essence, we're a knowledge organization. Here also in Rome, as you know, we also have the World Food Program, who delivers food aid, and they're excellent. The day after a typhoon, a cyclone, they arrive with food aid. And that's a very important part also of food security. And thirdly, we have IFAD, which is the International Fund for Agricultural Development. So we have a fund, we have a humanitarian aid, and we have a knowledge agency, all of them around hunger, around food security, and all that happens here in Rome. Now, this was one of the reasons why Expo Milano chose the topic of feeding the world, energy for life. Because of course, apart from the fantastic culture of food here in Italy, we also have the Roman pole of the United Nations here also within the country. Now, within these years, there have been major achievements, and I'd just like to point out a couple. The ones that I really like is that throughout the world, we've been able to help humanity in ways like, for example, eliminating onchocerciasis. Anybody knows what onchocerciasis means? Probably never heard about it. It's a very technical term. It is a sickness that is called, in English, river blindness. Now, many thousands of people, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, would go blind every year because of this disease that was happening around the rivers, where people went to take their water, and water for consumption, also for washing, etc., for their use. But in the same place, through different kinds of animals, this disease was transmitted and caused no less than blindness, river blindness. Today, the world is free from onchocerciasis, and this is thanks to the work of organizations like the UN, FAO in particular, working together with different countries at the same time, because many of these diseases go across borders. Of course, they don't respect borders. So you need to have an organization that is able to go across the different nations, bringing together, even sometimes they're in conflict, bringing together to talk about how you're going to eliminate this awful disease like onchocerciasis in order to have a common approach, and therefore, in the end, we have that fantastic, at least in my view, it's a fantastic result. Today, no more people in sub-Saharan Africa are going blind because of this disease. Another example is the Rift Valley fever. That's another disease that was attacking the livelihoods of many people around us, especially also sub-Saharan Africa, and that again has been completely eradicated from the face of the earth. These are small, but I would say very significant results that the FAO and the UN has been able to achieve thanks to its way of working across borders, bringing countries together, engaging them in dialogue in order for these issues to be addressed in a sustainable way. Now, last point, responsible behavior. I saw in the position paper you talk about the voluntary guidelines on the responsible governance of tenure. We have responsible fisheries code. We have principles for responsible investment in agriculture to avoid land grabbing. All of these are codes which are produced within the UN system and which will help the world guide their behavior into more responsible behavior, which is seen and agreed upon by the international community. These are instruments that, in my view, are going to change in many ways the world. Some of them are quite new, but I'm sure that they're going to have a major impact. Now, I'd just like to show you a 4-minute video on how the UN is going to be present in the Expo Milano. And my last message is going to be for you. Hunger is a major scourge of the humanity today, but it can be eliminated. And we count on people like all of you here present in the room to eliminate it. Together, and only together, we can eliminate hunger. So let's make it happen. Eliminate hunger within our lifetimes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Matana Villarreal.